see him waltzing up with some belly dancer girl.
Way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
What is up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Mummy trilogy. The first one opens up in ancient Egypt. We get introduced to Imhotep and he's having an affair with the pharaoh's wife. And they get caught and they just simply start shanking the pharaoh. So after they shank the pharaoh, she takes her own life and he has to escape. As they try to chase him, he tries to resurrect her. But right before he does, he gets caught and mummified. So the curse is that for all of eternity, he's going to get mummified. But if ever he gets released, he's going to be the most powerful being in all of mankind. So we cut to present day as O'Connell's army is just getting completely wiped out. They're falling off the balconies. They're screaming. So we cut to Evie and Jonathan. They find a key that can open up a treasure in Hamunaptra, but they don't know how to get there. They never met anyone that's been there, so they need a guide. That's where O'Connell comes in, so they have to go and try to negotiate his release. This prison leader just starts screaming at someone out of nowhere in the back. You don't even see why he's screaming at someone. You don't even see who it is, but that's the funny part. He just starts screaming at someone in the background, and it's hilarious.
Beg your pardon. I found
So they negotiate his release and they're on the boat to go to Hamunaptra. And then we find out there's a group of Americans that are also trying to get the treasure in Hamunaptra. So it's like who gets there first type thing going on.
Balls and brains.
Bo, they get attacked by a group of men looking for the key, and Jonathan kills one of them on accident, which is hilarious. We cut back to this dude getting smacked by a bunch of women. What did this man do to get treated like this? And I find it funny how they all just turn around at once. Like, did he just put in a cheat code real quick? So when they see Hamunaptra and they're rushing to get there, Benny just starts smacking the shit out of O'Connell. This is the funniest part in the whole movie for me. And O'Connell's hitting this guy with a rope, which is funny as well. And after these workers open up whatever this thing is, the Americans get so scared it's hilarious. What was that? I never want to hear that again in my life. So there's also these bugs in this movie, but they really build up these bugs as they kill the victim super slowly.
very slowly.
But every time we see them in action, their victim gets completely obliterated in a few seconds. Yeah, these bugs are just so slow at killing people. And when they release the mummy by reading the book, all hell breaks completely loose. There's locusts, there's fireballs, everyone's dying, there's a mob now. Jonathan has to blend in with the mob, which is a really funny scene as well. And when Imhotep is doing his sand thingy, he just looks so funny when they cut back to him. Another funny moment is when Imhotep resurrects his love and then Jonathan orders the mummy Navy SEALs to jump her. So they read the book to take away Imhotep's immortality and he just walks into Rick's sword and dies. He has a very disappointing death. And I vividly remember as a kid, this was the very first character I've seen where bullets really don't affect. And as a kid, I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. How the hell are they gonna take this guy down? I was so impressed as a kid. I found it so cool. And this movie means a lot to me. I grew up with this movie. I specifically remember the commercials on the VHS ads before the movie plays, and I love those commercials. Brendan Fraser's Rick O'Connell, he's such a great character. He's funny, he's reckless, he's sarcastic, he's childish, but he's also a badass, and that's why I love him. And Rachel Weisz as Evie is such a great character with Jonathan, and you definitely get why O'Connell and Evie would fall in love. They have great chemistry. They're a great duo, straight up. I also love Jonathan. He's such a funny, cool character. I love him. I also love Ardeth Bay. This is probably one of my favorite characters in the entire trilogy. I love this guy. Every single scene he's in, I love, straight up. Also, this movie has a great soundtrack. This movie is fun, it's campy, it's nostalgic for me. I love the characters, I love this movie, it's so fun. Alright, up next we have The Mummy Returns. So we open up with The Rock losing a battle and how he transformed into Scorpion King and he's gonna get released once every 3,000 years. And Imhotep's homies are trying to resurrect him, so he gets to kill the Scorpion King and take over his army and take over the world. And the O'Connells have to stop that, so we have our movie. So we cut back to the present day and the O'Connells are digging up around and now they have a son, Alex. 3 bandits show up and Alex starts hitting them with rocks. And one of the bandits is so paranoid of curses. Everything is cursed to this guy.
Shut up, Speedy. This place is cursed. This place is cursed.
I love action adventure movies that have mini bosses. And in this movie, we have a great selection of mini bosses. We have Mr. Hafez, we have Mila, we have Lochna, and we have Shafek. We also have the Scorpion King as a mini boss. So it turns out the villains need a bracelet for their goals, and the bracelet is on Alex's wrist, so they have to go and find it, and they invade O'Connell's house, and they just start threatening Jonathan, and O'Connell walks in, and he thinks they're role-playing, and it's hilarious. Like, is this a semi-regular event where Jonathan just crashes into O'Connell's house and just has role-playing events at his house?
Jonathan, I thought I said no more wild parties.
So when the bad guys are about to attack Evie, Ardeth Bay jumps in. He just starts wiping out the squad. This man is just standing back watching his squad get completely annihilated, and he doesn't even care. Like, holy shit, who is this guy? He's not even scared of Ardeth Bay. Holy shit, this guy must have some serious skills. So Ardeth Bay and Lochna fight, and Lochna gets the better of him and kidnaps Evie and leaves. So they kidnap Evie, they take her to the museum, try to resurrect Imhotep over there. So the scene where O'Connell and Ardeth Bay rescue Evie is such a great action sequence. It gets me pumped up every single time I watch it. They're about to burn Evie, then O'Connell just comes, releases her, and then Ardeth Bay just starts spraying everyone. The villains are shooting back, everyone's getting shot, people are on fire. Imhotep's unleashing Mummy Navy SEALs on everyone. They run over O'Connell's car, chasing him after a bus. That shit was personal when they destroyed his car. And this bus action sequence is really fun. The mummies are destroying Rick and Ardeth Bay because these are the Navy SEALs of the mummies. But Alex gets kidnapped by the villains and they escape. So O'Connell goes to an old friend for some transportation and the friend looks really happy to see him.
Izzy! No! Last time I got Shudley out. See him waltzing up with some belly dancer girl.
Way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
A funny moment where O'Connell's about to shoot him because he didn't like the vehicle he picked.
Yeah, you're gonna get shot.
Ardeth Bay's bird gets hard scoped by Lochna. Then we have this forest sequence where these little tiny monsters just start wiping everyone out. The funniest part is where Jonathan assures this guy that if they stand behind these rocks that they cannot be harmed by these little creatures.
You are sure? Of course I'm sure.
Bruh.
And when they make it to the pyramid, Evie gets stabbed out of nowhere. As a kid, I remember I'm like, holy shit, Evie is dead. I was traumatized by this scene as a kid. Until she gets resurrected, then I just stopped caring. And Rick runs up on Imhotep and they fight. The Scorpion King gets unleashed and the CGI looks like shit, but I find that very charming, to be honest. Then Rick kills the Scorpion King, then Imhotep and him fall and they're about to die, and then Evie rescues O'Connell, and Imhotep is begging to be saved and she just completely abandons him. He just looks so sad and heartbroken. This is actually very sad.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
And then 2 seconds later, she falls in a pool of bugs. Then they escape and live happily ever after, and that's The Mummy Returns. Some things I didn't love about this movie is that Evie just doesn't have that much to do, so they shoehorn in this subplot. This movie has the best action scenes of the entire trilogy. I don't think I love this movie as much as the first one, but this is a great addition to the Mummy franchise. And on to the next, The Mummy 3, Tomb of the Dragon Emperors. This was my #1 most anticipated movie as a kid. When I watched this trailer as a kid, you could not believe how excited I was. Literally everything I loved as a kid was in this movie. I loved mummies. Check. Jet Li was my favorite actor as a kid. Check. I loved characters that can bend fire. Check. I loved dragons. Check. I loved big battles. Check. I loved crazy big monsters. Check. I could have not waited for this movie as a kid. I literally remember not being able to comprehend actually watching it. It literally felt like a dream, a fantasy, a heavenly transcendent experience. So let's watch it and see how it holds up. So we open up Jet Li as the Emperor and he's doing bad guy things and he gets cursed into diarrhea. And we cut to the present day and O'Connell's beefing with some fish. And unfortunately, Rachel Weisz did not return for this movie. Maria Bello replaced her as Evie, which she does a good job, but I really miss Rachel Weisz because she had such a great chemistry dynamic with Rick O'Connell. And O'Connell and Evie are missing adventure. Their son finds the tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and some lady just runs up on him and tries to kill him, and it turns out that she's just trying to protect it. But couldn't you just warn him? Be like, hey, don't mess with this thing cause X, Y, and Z would happen, and then go from there. Why are you trying to kill him before you even tell him anything? So the O'Connells go to China and reunite with Jonathan and their son Alex.
This? Sorry. What?
It turns out the professor was with the bad guys the whole time, and they awakened the emperor, and as a reward for the professor to resurrect him, he smacks his head off.
You wait for me! I'm coming!
And Rick steals this man's car like he's in GTA. So we have a fun chase scene where a bunch of funny stuff happen. So they try to hit Jet Li with this firework, and he just hits it onto a bus. Then they go in the Himalayas.
You need to fasten your seatbelts. It was too cheap to buy any.
Why am I laughing?
And Alex falls in love with the chick that tried to kill him. And this is the worst part of the movie, is their romance. It's just so forced. Why are you interested in someone that's so bloodthirsty to kill you before warning you? Then when the big battle finally starts, it's a pretty fun sequence. You get these planes coming in, and then Jet Li takes one of them out by turning into this huge monster. It's crazy. Then these two henchmen die in the funniest way. And then Rick O'Connell calls out Jet Li, and he regrets it immediately.
Fight like a man!
Then Alex jumps in and they jump Jet Li and kill him. Then they set up a sequel that never happens, and that was Mummy 3. Unfortunately, this is my least favorite of the trilogy. I still think it's a watchable, decent, fun movie. Granted, it's not as fun as the first two. I prefer the first two much over this. It is the best looking movie in the trilogy. I loved Jet Li as the villain. I wish he had more screen time in terms of his physical form and not his stupid mummy form. And that's it for today, guys. What do you guys think about this trilogy? I'm actually curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe. Goodbye.